Glasgow's Charlie Kerr has many claims to amateur and pro boxing fame in Scotland, but surely none stranger than the fact that he is the only Scottish boxing champion to be given a live sheep instead of a purse after a ring bout. Even more ironically, Charlie, a tough product of Glasgow's south side, admits, "I was scared of the sheep and was considerably relieved when a guy outside the hall in Dumbartonshire, where I had just boxed, bought my newly acquired four-legged friend for a few pounds." However, there is nothing really about the catalogue of achievements of Charlie Kerr. Born in 1920 in the Hutchison Town area of Glasgow's south side, Charlie's successful amateur career saw him beat fellow Glaswegian John Shaughnessy for the Scottish amateur bantamweight title in 1940, a title he won again in 1944 during a period of wartime service in the Black Watch. On that occasion, in 1944, Kerr defeated another Glaswegian, George MacDonald. At that stage of his career, Charlie was handled by a local man, George Smith, but Dundee mob from the Black Watch, where he had acquired valuable experience in fitness and conditioning as an army PTI, Charlie decided to turn pro and throw in his lot with Pat Collins, legendary manager of the equally legendary World, British and Empire flyweight champion Jackie Patterson. Soon Kerr was sparring hundreds of rounds with Anderson's southpaw Patterson, and the experience he described with us. My time as Jackie Patterson's sparring partner was an education in ringcraft and boxing I never ever forgot. Proof came of this early in Charlie's pro career when he defeated reigning champion Teddy O'Neill of Dumbarton on September 25th, 1946 in Glasgow in an untitled 8-rounder. Now, this was the same Teddy O'Neill who would hold the Scottish bantamweight title for 11 years from 1937 until 1948. The same West Coast fighter who built up a huge local following in Leith, where boxing under promoter Harold Brown's patronage he turned Brown's Eldorado Stadium into a temple of personal triumph. Even the Edinburgh press loved the Dumbarton boxer, hailing his November 1937 title-winning ring scrap with Jim Riley, thus, a fiery Scots bantamweight champion. What's more, Teddy O'Neill had gone 12 rounds with Benny Lynch's Romanitan conqueror, Orel Toma, at the Eldorado in January 1939, losing on points. So this was an impressive ring scalp at such an early stage in his career for Glasgow bantam prospect Kerr. Of O'Neill, Charlie says, "With Teddy O'Neill, we had to work 15 rounds, even when the distance was shorter. He was that tough and attacked you. It seemed that an 8-rounder was in fact 15. A fact that underlines the quality of Charlie Kerr's own ring work due to his victory over O'Neill. This victory also compensated to some extent for Charlie's defeat 13 days earlier by Airdrie-based Scottish flyweight champion Jackie Bryce in a 12-round final eliminator for the Scottish bantamweight title at champion Teddy O'Neill's old Eldorado Stadium. Stomping ground. However, although Charlie Kerr would eventually end Teddy O'Neill's 11-year reign as bantamweight king on April 21st, 1948 at Glasgow's Kelvin Hall, when he outpointed the Dumbarton veteran over 15 hard rounds. The victory Charlie Kerr cherishes most of all was his points victory over hotshot American Taneshi Maura at Kirkcaldy Ice Rink in 1947, said Charlie of the most cherished ring victory. Maura had beaten every British boxer he'd ever boxed, including British bantamweight champion Stan Hawthorne. But what a tough guy. I beat him, but I was never the same fighter ever again. He took so much out of me. Similarly, in the next 3 bouts after outpointing Teddy O'Neill for the Scottish title, Charlie Kerr was outpointed by Ronnie Burr at Birmingham on June the 28th, 1948. Knocked out and floored by Welsh champion Norman Lewis at Glasgow on September 2nd, 1948, and forced to retire against tough Southampton ex-Solomon Ronnie Draper in the 8th round at Smethwick. This loss of form was hardly an ideal preparation for Charlie Kerr, and he was called upon to defend his Scottish Bantam crown on Thursday, March 10th, 1949 at Paisley's Ice Rink on a bill headed by Scottish heavyweight title clash involving Dundonian Ken Shaw and Coatbridge star Bert Gilroy. Kerr's opponent that Thursday evening in Paisley was Edinburgh southpaw Eddie Carson, who under the real name of Marshall had been an altar boy. However, despite his adolescent religious connections, Eddie Carson, a rock-hard southpaw, was no angel inside the ring due to his startling physical remembrance to the great French warrior Emperor Bonaparte. Carson was so tough that he had once dropped off an Edinburgh building site beam at 2 hours' notice to fight and beat the great Jackie Patterson. The same Eddie Carson also stopped 1950 gold medalist Hugh Riley inside the distance. This was the same all-Greeky belter who was to become the only British boxer that two-time Lonsdale belt winner Peter Keenan refused point-blank to give a return bout to after his February 1904 sluggish with Carson. However, and to this further proof of how highly rated Charlie Kerr's ring abilities were by opponents, Carson treated Glaswegian ring ace Kerr initially with so much respect that the large Paisley Ice Rink crowd were slow hand-clapping for more action by the end of the 4 dull preliminary rounds thereafter. The action jazzed up from the 5th onwards with Kerr displaying admirable pluck, as one newspaper man put it, as he rose from being floored in the 9th round only to be knocked out in the 11th by a Carson left to the body and a right to the jaw. At that point, the boxing career of Charlie Kerr might have ended, but, as noted earlier, the now retired boxer was determined to now utilise the experience in man management and sports fitness gained as a Black Watch PTI within Scottish boxing circles. So began a long association with Glasgow's famous LMS Rovers Amateur Boxing Club that would culminate in Charlie Kerr rounding off the raw but promising talents of Maryhill southpaw John Cowboy McCormick, whom Charlie guided to an Olympic bronze medal in 1956 Melbourne Olympics. Again, time and time again, Kerr would prove his value as a ring motivator and cornerman with Scotland's international amateur boxers. So it was that Charlie handled Scotland's great Ken Buchanan, then a featherweight, in 1963 in Moscow in the European Championships. Accomplished ring artist flyweight Dick Curry heaped praise on Kerr when he took a squad including Domark ace Dick to Poland in 1953. In the paid ranks, Charlie Kerr guided his former amateur prodigy Cowboy McCormick to become the first Scot to win a British middleweight crown for 31 years when McCormick defeated England's Terry Downs on a controversial foul decision in 1959. Again, Charlie not only had a spell as Dick Curry's mentor in the pro ranks in the 1950s, but 30 years later was still dispensing high-quality inter-round wisdom when Glasgow butcher Donny Hood won the WBC International Bantamweight Championship in 1990 in Glasgow and defended it successfully. There on several occasions, Ardennes-based Donny thought the world of Charlie Kerr's skills as ring corner tactician, as did Dick Curry and John Cowboy McCormick.